Eyewitness Sports.
And welcome to another edition of Double OT with Yanni and Mark. Mark Dondero, I'm Yanni Caracas. Episode 9 coming to you on a taped version on a Sunday. Let's get right into it, Mark. Another loss for the Red Sox. Their June swoon continues, something like 8-14 in the month of June. Simple question, are you worried about the Red Sox?
Of course I'm worried. Of course I'm worried. This is what we were worried about. We thought the pitching would not hold up, and it's not holding up. They've had issues with starters. They've had issues with closers, bullpen. They've had issues. Clay Buchholz is a chronic issue. I mean, they just had issues. And, you know, they had the big win on Friday night. We were all dancing and celebrating. Mookie Betts tied the game with a home run. They go on to win against a good Texas team on the road. But then you think to yourself, that's not really a game that you're going to win in the playoffs. Maybe once. I think of Ortiz hitting that grand slam against the Tigers a few years ago. Maybe once you win a game like that. But pitching is what sustains success, and they haven't had the pitching. So, yes, I'm worried.
I'm worried, too, for all the reasons you just mentioned. The pitching has been very average, both in the rotation. I think that span where Price and Wright were really doing well a couple weeks ago, those two got knocked around. And Kimbrel, in a non-save situation, you can't trust. Uehara's getting crushed in the bullpen. And, you know, offense, I feel like, usually comes to life at Fenway in the hot summer months. But like you said, you can't hang your hat on offense. You have to go with pitching, and right now the Red Sox don't have enough of it. I also think they don't have great depth coming off the bench in the late innings. I will say this, though. At the beginning of the year, if you said, hey, there'll be 8 games above 500 on June 26th, you'd probably take it, right? I think in the beginning of the year, we both projected them to be high 80s, low 90 win team, and I don't think Baltimore is running away with it. So I'm worried about them as a legitimate first-place team, pennant contender. But all things considered, I think they probably are what they are at this point.
I'm more focused on a World Series. Obviously, we'll have to look at the division at some point, but we'll see where that goes. The one thing I will say is they do have that trade deadline. So if they can get a piece, not just a guy, but they need a guy, a big-time player, a big-time pitcher, then we'll reassess. Until then, I'm worried. So speaking of being worried, a lot of Celtics fans concerned about the Celtics draft that took place last week. They did take Jaylen Brown, number 3 overall. What grade would you give the Celtics based on what you saw?
My grade is a C-, and I was tempted to give it a D, but I just wimped out. Here's the reason why. So much anticipation for the Brooklyn pick after all these years. We knew they were going to be bad this year. There was chance for it to be number 1 overall, ultimately number 3, which was inconvenient in a draft which had 2 stars in Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram, supposedly. And 8 picks in all, NBA draft records. So you're thinking, all right, at least at 3, they'll get someone great. At the 8 picks, you know, they're going to get a couple stars. You get Jaylen Brown, a lot of upside, the small forward out of Cal. I think he has a high ceiling, but he's not a guy, I think, this year who's going to come in and contribute right away. Maybe that's the Celtics' game plan because they're already a playoff team. We can hold out a couple years. You and I think, both wanted them to take Chris Dunn, probably because we've watched him in person so often, and we wanted that to be a hometown pick. After the 3rd pick, you take your other 2 first-rounders are European draft and stash guys, so you're not cashing in on the first-rounders. My question is there no room to pick first-rounders who could contribute? Like, why not just take all the second-rounders and stash them? They trade 2 picks. They take a couple other guys. So, like, in totality, you see 8 picks, and you're like, who's going to contribute to this team in the next year or two? Jaylen Brown, anyone else? Obviously, we like Bentel out of PC because we've seen him a lot, and I think, you know, maybe down the road he can be an NBA player. I don't know if he'll see the floor this year, but because of so many picks and because of 3 overall, I'm completely underwhelmed. But in 5 years, if Jaylen Brown's a perennial all-star, I guess you give it a B or an A.
I'm going to give it a C. I think it was if you will accept a golf analogy, I think the Celtics were essentially playing a 455-yard par 4 into the wind, and they bogeyed. They weren't really going to, there wasn't much they could do. They weren't going to do much better than that, and I think they did as best they could. Here's what I liked about the pick, okay? And again, like you said, we were kind of leaning towards Chris Dunn. We don't know a lot about Jaylen Brown, so we'll see. Here's what I liked. They drafted a player, and they intend to keep the player. And they didn't take a European player at number 3 overall. That's what I like. I'm with you on the Euro stash.
Did you want to trade? There was rumors of Nerlens Noel, Jimmy Butler.
No.
You didn't want to pull a trade.
Here's why. I am interested in the Celtics' most direct route to a superstar. We know what Nerlens Noel is. We know what Jimmy Butler is for the most part. Nerlens Noel is not even an all-star, and Jimmy Butler is an all-star, but he's not a superstar. Jaylen Brown, maybe, possibly, could be a superstar. Maybe. So that's what I'm interested in. What is the most direct route to a superstar? So I'll give them a C. I'll see what happens, and we'll see where we are in 3 years. LeBron is still pretty young. We got to wait for him to get old before they do anything, barring some kind of Kevin Durant situation that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. First, with the aforementioned PC guys, Chris Dunn, number 5 to Minnesota, Ben Bentil, number 51 to the Boston Celtics. How do you think each of those Friar players will fit in with their new teams?
Let me just make a comment on Bentil. This is exactly the way, with the myriad of picks the Celtics had, that is how you use your late round picks. You grab the Big East leading scorer in the second round at 51 overall.
Sure.
Bravo. That is what you do. Now, how do I think Ben Bentil will fit in? You know, I haven't assessed the roster and really broken it down. I think he'll be, you know, we all know he's got confidence. Some have kind of teetered on arrogance. Some people think it's a little arrogant, but it works for him. I think he'll go in there. I don't think he'll be scared. And I think he has a chance to stick. I do. But again, we've seen him play. We're kind of biased. I think he has a chance to stick. And Chris Dunn, I love the fit. Love the fit. Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Chris Dunn, Tom Thibodeau. An excellent head coach that we know about. You got Rubio is there. They got some veteran leadership with Kevin Garnett. He told you on draft night he's going to ask questions. He's going to have tons of answers sitting next to him in the locker room. Love the fit. They are a team on the rise. He is going to be huge.
I'll start with Dunn. On the ground floor of a team that's really ascending into playoff contention in the West with Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins and the other guys you mentioned. So I really like the Chris Dunn fit. Thibodeau is a guy who values defense. So Dunn's going to be on the floor and getting a lot of minutes because that's what Tibbs cares about. I like that fit a lot, and I think Dunn has good assets for a rookie NBA player. He tries hard, he plays defense, and he can assist. The scoring will come. They don't need him to come in and score 20 a game, so I think that's a good fit. Bentil, the Celtics have such a crowded roster. I'd like to see him get in there. He probably starts with the main Red Claws or something. We always see. I mean, James Young was a first-round pick, and but like we said, Bentil is a confident guy, and he does what's valuable in the NBA. He's a big guy who can shoot the outside jumper, pull the guy out to the perimeter. He does that well. He doesn't really create off the dribble, and I think he needs to rebound a little more, but he's got all the raw talent. I will say Bentil probably could have made himself some more money if he stuck around another year.
Agreed.
But who knows?
I will say this about Ben Bentil, though. He once upon a time he would have been viewed as a tweener. You know, he's 6'7" or so, bigger, doesn't play like a guard. But then again, once upon a time, Draymond Green would have been considered the same thing, and we all see how he's ascended and adapted himself to the NBA game. So we'll wait and see on Ben Bentil. Hopefully it works out for him. We mentioned Kevin Durant. The question now is, well, let me just say this first. The Celtics are one of 6 teams reportedly that will get in the room with Kevin Durant. Some say that's progress right there. Considering the fact that they are expected to be in the room, how do you, Yanni, sell the Celtics on Kevin Durant?
All right, here's what you do if you're Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens. Kevin Garnett, we're giving you the keys to the car. Who do you want us to get? We have room for 2 max deals. We'll get you. Is there anyone else you want us to get? There is no other superstar on this team. So if or when we win a championship, this is Kevin Durant's Celtics championship team. Isaiah Thomas is an all-star, but he doesn't have to do what LeBron did and follow D. Wade and Chris Bosh to Miami. Going to Golden State, a 73-win team, does that sound like something that really makes you a piece of the puzzle when that team was already historic the year before? So I think you sell them on, this is your shop. We have great tradition. We have 17 championships. We have Larry Bird. We have the Paul Pierce years. These guys won championships. John Havlicek, Bill Russell. Be one of these guys. And we have a fan base that you'll fall in love with. We all remember when Kevin Garnett came here from Minnesota, he didn't want to come to Boston, didn't really think much of it. And how much does he love the city? He cries every time he comes back. So I think if he talks to guys who've gone to Boston late in their career, they'll tell him, a Ray Allen, a Kevin Garnett, how special basketball city this is. I don't know if it's not warm weather, it's no state taxes, but it's something.
Well, he's got the money. Taxes, I don't think, are an issue for him. Here's how I would sell Kevin Durant. The primary thing I would say is that, and this is the advantage the Celtics have that nobody else has, at least in terms of the teams that are reportedly going to get a crack at him. What I would say is, if you come to the Celtics, you will have, number one, a chance to be the man. You'll be the man on the Celtics.
No
It'll be
Westbrook.
your team. Number two, they're in the Eastern Conference. Those are the two advantages. He's interested in the basketball situation and the people he's going to be around. No one else can say that. If he goes to Miami, Wade is there. It's his team. I don't care who's the best player. It's Wade's team until he's gone. That's the only other Eastern Conference team that's reportedly in on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes that will get a meeting. Everywhere else, it's either somebody else's team or he'd be in the Western Conference. So if you go to the Celtics, the only person you have to deal with is LeBron. So you'll have an easier path to a championship, and it'll be your team, which I would think would mean something, because you don't want to go to Golden State and ride the coattails of Steph Curry or join the Spurs machine or do all, especially in basketball. So I think that is the main thing if he is as interested in the people he's going to be around in the basketball situation. And then, whoever's a jerk on the team, well, don't bring them into the meeting. Bring in Isaiah Thomas, bring in likable people. Maybe you could drive. There's some of the ancillary things I do like bringing up about this is the Boston freaking Celtics, like a traditional, one of the teams with the most tradition in the league. And if he likes Italian food or whatever, then bring that to the meeting or give him a gift. I don't know. That's not as important.
Quickly, we asked a question on this very show way back when, what % chance the Celtics had at landing Durant. I think we both said like 0.1. Have you upped your percentage?
Sure. To about 3%.
I'm in on 5%.
Okay. I'll give it 3%. I don't think it's a high. I don't think it's a big number.
All right, let's switch gears to football. Do you remember Deflategate, Mark?
What?
Deflategate?
Yeah.
It's ongoing. Allegedly or reportedly, there may be a conclusion from the Second Circuit District Court about whether or not Brady will get the rehearing, the en banc thing, where 13 judges will rehear the trial that was previously decided on by 3 judges that overturned the Richard Berman, which overturned the Roger Goodell. I mean, the legality to it all is mind-numbing. Does Brady get a new trial, or does he get the 4-game suspension upheld?
I just got finished watching the OJ Made in America, so
I'm not done. Don't
enough.
Ruin it.
No, I won't say that, but I've had enough with trials and lawyers and legalese. So I don't know the answer to this question. I'm going to say that they're not going to take this back to court and he will serve the 4 games. I don't say that with a lot of confidence. Who knows where this will turn? It's been a nightmare. I'm sick of it. I just think based on what I heard when the ruling was when Judge Berman's ruling was overturned, it sounds like it sounded final, and I think that the NFL will win and he'll serve the 4 games.
It sounds final. Also, I don't think courts like to keep overturning each other, so this would then be the 3rd overturning.
And it's a mess.
So it is a mess, and there's some minuscule percent in history where they see the rehearing en banc, so I don't think it happens. And you know what? Closure wouldn't be the worst thing, assuming this doesn't go to the Supreme Court. And 4 games, it's done. Can we all be done? It's the end.
There are a lot of advantages for the Patriots, if not all advantages, but some advantages for the Patriots if Tom Brady were to serve a 4-game suspension. That could be a question for another day. We've got to ask a question right now because we are on the precipice, being a Sunday that we're taping, that you like to say, of the CVS Health Charity Classic. So, Yanni, we know the pairings. Who's going to win?
I'm going with Bill Haas and Billy Andrade. Andrade's been playing well on the senior tour, the Champions Tour, and Haas played really well this weekend in D.C. Andrade, like his co-host Faxon, has never won this thing. I think this is his year, and Haas is a former winner, and obviously Andrade knows the course really well, so I am choosing those two. Who do you have?
I have the South Africans, Louis Oosthuizen and Brandon Grace. Neither one has really rocked the world this year. Based on what I've seen, I haven't done extensive research on either player, I'll be honest. But we just got in from the course. But I like that dynamic. Neither, Louis Oosthuizen isn't playing in the Olympics, so they'll have some South African pride they'll want to tap into because they're not going to be able to in Rio. So I think that will carry them. They'll feel good playing with each other. They're, they're fellow countrymen. So I think that those guys, Oosthuizen has been here before. He'll show them the ropes. Great sound. I think those guys will get it done.
What did you think of the course today?
Beautiful, immaculate. I was walking on the fairways, the greens. I didn't get to play it, so you've played it. I don't know. You tell me.
I played it Monday, but I'm an awful golfer, so.
That's all right.
We'll ask Patrick Little tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll ask Patrick Little.
We have many hours of CVS Health Charity Classic on your television, online, and on your cell phone. I think you're doing a Facebook Live thing tomorrow.
Am I really?
Yeah. According to our plan, 4 p.m.
You?
Just whoever's holding the phone from
Are
social media.
you doing it?
I think you are. I'm doing another one. We'll talk about this other
All
stuff off camera.
Logistics.
But a lot of CVS Health Charity Classic coverage Monday and Tuesday from Barrington. That'll do it for the latest episode of Double OT. Catch everything online at WPRI.com, and we'll tweet and Facebook out some of the topics. For Mark Dondero, I'm Yanni Karakis. We'll see you next time.